Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Gamehers Professional Bootcamp, the Gamehers X Belong Professional Bootcamp. My name is Amaya, and I am president and co-founder of Latinx in Gaming. This is my first time using this software, so you are going to see me be a little bit confused. I also have a very wily dog. It's a little Pomeranian named Tombo. He will enter the room on occasion. Please do not let him distract you. So I want to talk first about the potency of personal brand. So to get started, what that is to me is how your personal brand will help you grow your career, be it a career as an influencer, a career in esports, a career in marketing, even a game developer, anything you want to do within the gaming space, there is the opportunity for you to grow a career here. So let's go ahead and get started. First, this is me. I just did this introduction, my bad. But to include that, I am also now officially the director for the DreamHack festivals in the Americas. So I'm going to be doing a lot for DreamHack to make sure that those festivals continue to be the great experiences that they are and continue to grow. You can find me on Twitter. I mostly tweet silly things. And on LinkedIn, I will be usually resharing jobs through the Latinx network. Latinx in Gaming is my nonprofit. It is dedicated to helping Latinos get jobs in the gaming industry. And to put a little baby plug in here, we are having a career fair in June. So if you're interested in attending, please let us know. Oh, hi, little temptress. What is a personal brand? Now, this definition is both from Wikipedia and also this personal brand website, but it is an actual effort to create and influence public perception of the individual, aka yourself, so that people can elevate your credibility. It can differentiate yourself from other people. It can provide a real look at who you are as a person, but also what you bring to the table, how you are the best marketer, the best streamer, the best whatever it may be. And it really provides a little bit of an insight into who you are as a person. So there are very many different ways to do that, and we're going to go over all of that here. This person I used as an example, her name is Bree. I really like her branding, and just so you know, all the images used here, I have gotten their permission for, and everybody was really flattered, which was very nice. But Bree Bunn is a Twitch partner and content creator with Misfits. And I really love her sweet personal brand, this sort of bunny imagery, the blue colors, the light coloring. I think it's all really great. It really fits her aesthetic really well. So you might see more of her imagery throughout my presentation. Next, so there are different types of, how you use social media. Personal brand, while we're talking about it, is about how you're using social. And you might have channels where you want to actually speak privately. For me, my personal channel of privacy is my Facebook. I only post on there for really my mom. And if my mom is watching this, hi, my Facebook is for you. My Twitter is where I post more publicly. So this is where you want to share thoughts with a really trusted group of people. People that you talk to regularly, your best friends, people who've known you since childhood. And sometimes it might be nice to be able to share wins with them. My Facebook, I literally go on there and I post, I got a new job, or, we did this really cool thing at Latinx, and then I kind of leave it be. I like to think of it as like both informing my friends and family, like I'm still doing some cool stuff, and also at the same time keeping a record for myself. Now, your public spaces, those spaces are, went full screen. Those are open to everybody else's opinions. Employers will see it. And also, as somebody who's done a lot of hiring in my time, I will look you up on Twitter, or I'll look you up on social media just to see kind of how I can, get to know your personality, if our values align. And by values, I don't mean we have to agree on everything, but, like some of the basic stuff, like not trolling people or being mean to people and different things like that. So those are the two different perceptions that might be important there. Next slide. So here is one of the most obvious spaces that you can have a personal brand. LinkedIn is basically supposed to be a professional networking space and your virtual resume. It's also kind of considered a happy hour. Its functionality makes it a place to brag about yourself, brag about your work. LinkedIn is also a place to kind of humanize your work, because your resume, if you just read it on paper and read hundreds of resumes a day, especially as a recruiter, it's not very humanizing. Sure, it can show your wins, maybe a little bit of personality in some of your language, but unless you are writing cover letter for every single job you apply to, there's not really a show of who you are. So LinkedIn is a really fun way to show your personality. Now, on the opposite side, LinkedIn can also be really obnoxious. I have a screenshot here of an example of like people using LinkedIn to just kind of vent or rant or something. And there are spaces for that within LinkedIn. There are times and places I think that you can, say things that are insightful and meaningful. And I've seen a lot of my colleagues do so. So I think the role of LinkedIn is a professional insight space. Sometimes it really, really varies, but sometimes it might be that. Next up, and feel free to ask questions. I am reading chat, so I'm happy to have an open conversation with y'all. Twitter, and I used Andy Lunique's Twitter as an example. Andy works at Epic Games. He's a chef as well, and he has an adorable little daughter. Please feel free to follow him. He will make you hungry, though. He almost always posts food, especially food that he really enjoys. So that might be like a really cool person to follow. And he gives a lot of great tips as well about what it means to be in this industry. So Twitter, what is Twitter, right? It is a space for, I say hot takes, but like brief online discourse, threaded conversations, and joining in on public moments. Let's say the Super Bowl is happening. I will always be on Twitter because I think the funniest takes happen there. And I think people have some really witty things to say, or an election or some sort of big esports event, such as the LCS finals. All of those things are happening on Twitter, and you can join in on the conversation there. And so when I was a lot younger, I actually used to, like during LCS, I would tag a photo of myself. Hey, I'm here, or here I am there, I'm throwing a party. I would tweet about fun things that was happening. I started to see more involvement, interactivity from Riot Games, other companies, people that worked at specific places. And I started getting known for being really involved in the New York City League of Legends scene. And I actually had started, alongside a couple of other really great people in New York, the NYC LOL. So one thing I will say, though, and this is like at the bottom of this, brief before you post something. It's really easy to want to like immediately say something or post something on there, but sometimes Twitter is forever, and it's easy to get screenshot or like blown out of proportion, and things can happen a little bit too quickly that you're not necessarily ready to talk about or ready for. But I think the great thing about Twitter is it really can help shape what you look like as a brand. If you look through my Twitter right now, I post a lot of selfies because I like looking at myself. I post a lot about my parents, especially my mom, because they make me laugh, about my dog. And then, I often post about career stuff, or I'm helping people out, or Latinx. Latinx just literally, as we were going live, announced our career fair, and that we need more sponsors. So I retweeted that right now. But that is my personal brand, right? So that is how I want to present myself. That's how I want people to see me. Sometimes I will complain to like Delta because their flights are bad, but that is like super rare. But that is how I personally like to use Twitter. Yes, people are quick as F to cancel people for clout. That can be true, unfortunately. Next up is TikTok. So TikTok is a content creation platform and can give glimpses into your work, life, personality. If you like dancing, that's a really cool thing to share. That's an example, but literally anything you like doing, any sort of creative outlet that you may have, TikTok is such a great place for you to really shine and show that off. But not just that, it's a really great place to have like a fun conversation. Leslie S., she is a content creator on TikTok and on Twitter, who works in the gaming industry. She used to work at Riot Games. She works at a lot of prominent companies. You'll see her TikToks are making fun of the game industry and the experience as a woman. And it's done in such a relatable fashion that you just have to laugh, right? Like, because that unfortunately is the reality for a lot of people. It's not that it's not inoffensive, I guess. Like, I imagine that some people might take offense to how she's saying things, but it's her experience and it's true to her. And the way she's putting it out there is comedic. And I think that that's a really cool thing to share. So for me, I would treat it as a branding tool, a way for you to, let's say you want people to know in the gaming industry, you're a customer service agent, but you want them to know that you also make really cool, like, glassware, right? So you could use it to be like two things, right? You could do the glassware stuff. You could show off you painting pieces. You could show off you breaking something or whatever. I don't know about glassware, and I don't know why I picked that. Or you could also show off like, hey, the day in the life of a blank, blank, blank. There's a lot of day in the life of a Googler, a lot of this, a lot of that. But people are fascinated by those things, especially the younger audiences that start out on TikTok. TikTok is really a platform for Gen Z and younger because they don't have that work experience. So using it to show off, I do have that work experience, and I would love to just kind of give you a little glimpse into my life. Some people also do use TikTok to do some takes. I think it can be pretty well done. Yeah. Oh, I have a question. Phoenix says, is LinkedIn worth being active on? What kind of stuff do you post there? Yes. I would not say personally regularly I would be active on LinkedIn. I would post on LinkedIn when I have a new job, when I want to celebrate somebody. If you are looking for a job, though, you should be on LinkedIn like a lot. You should also make sure that the body of your work is listed in LinkedIn. So keep it regularly updated with your career stuff, with any volunteering that you do, with any certifications you may get. And if you are looking for work, make sure to mark yourself. LinkedIn does have a feature called Open to Work in there. Another great thing to do, and I have a ton of friends that do it. If you check my LinkedIn out, you'll see recommendations. When I work with a colleague and we're having a really great time, I'll go, can you recommend me? That would be really great. I would really love sort of like, your feedback. And you'll see I have multiple feedbacks from a bunch of different people. And I've also given recommendations myself. It's good to keep up with. I wouldn't 100%, like live on there. No offense, LinkedIn. But yeah, so back to TikTok. It's a really good way to give little glimpses into your life and really make it sort of a photogenic moment, make it feel like a little movie, vignettes into your life. Cool. Let's see. Would charity streams be good to promote on LinkedIn? I think if it's a big moment and you're doing sort of a bigger campaign, I think that would be really cool. But, maybe if you're doing a streaming every day, maybe not that. But like, let's say you're doing something for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, do that. Next. Also, you'll notice that I have chosen images that are funny for me. For Facebook, I consider it a mom platform. So this meme is your mom looking at an image. And I showed my mom and she did exactly this. So anyways, I personally don't think you should share your personal Facebook with people within the industry unless you absolutely trust them. And you know that like this is your space. I think Facebook, because it skews older, most of us are probably friends with our moms, our dads, our cousins, our family members, brothers, sisters. And it is often used as that sort of space. So while I do have gaming industry people on there, they are people I've met in the past. They do skew a little bit older, and they are people that I trust. I would then, this is more for content creators, but frankly, if you're an influencer in the gaming industry, heck it, why not? You can use it as a billboard. You can make yourself a personal page and you should just reshare your streams on there. Have it as a record of like the type of work that you do, the type of work that you're capable of doing. So I would use a Facebook page. Make sure that it's separated from yourself. And I'll go into this a little bit more, but I really think that you need to have a healthy separation from social media. I have heard about people using TikTok to get jobs, kind of reposting their resumes on there. Yes, as long as you do not post personal information. You can share that you do work on there. You can share the kind of awesome things that you're doing. TikTok is not the safest of platforms, in my opinion. So like, not really any of them are. So make sure you're being cognizant and safe for yourself. But if you, for example, I see, if you're a Twitch streamer, reshare some of the funny clips from your streams. If you're in marketing, share marketing tips. And I will go into somebody as an example later on who has done an immensely great job. But yeah. P.S. I deleted my Facebook. Do I need it back? No. Save yourself. Be free. Yeah. So let's see. Instagram. Your Instagram will tell a story of who you are. Now, keep in mind, we all have been witnessing Instagram change itself as a platform. It used to be that all of the stuff you would look at is your feed with everybody's posts. However, more and more people are using Instagram the way you would Snapchat, which is just kind of like snapping through. So I personally like to use Instagram when I'm traveling for events. I'm an event manager / whatever by trade. So I like to show I'm on my way. We're getting the show floor ready. This is me at the after party. This is me tired after day billion. There's like a million posts of me being tired. And different pieces like that. It's a snapshot into your life. It provides a little bit of color, etc. Use the close friends feature if you have something funny you want to say, but you just want your friends to read it. Something I had said earlier, but I'm going to reiterate. Everybody, if your stuff is public, everybody has a hot take. And sometimes you don't want to hear it. Like, I remember I posted a meal once and like I was eating something that I had made and somebody's like, ew, that looks really gross. And I was like, did I ask? No, I didn't, but it is public. And unfortunately, people feel like they can comment. So think of Instagram as your visual storytelling platform. Honestly, I'm both space and role. Like it is just the space for you to do that. All right, next up, parasocial relationships. This one is pretty important to me, especially if any of you here are influencers or streamers or content creators. So this is a one-sided relationship where the other person extends emotional energy, interest, and time into the other party the other persona is completely unaware of their existence. So there's a lot of ways that this could happen. Gaming famous person will be considered a celebrity, or like a big streamer, Pokemon, like Alana Pierce, whatever, like those big, huge names that you think of. And people like admire them from afar and they watch their stuff, but maybe they don't really know about you. Gaming enthusiasts. So like there's, different pieces like that, or you're famous in the game dev industry, or you happen to work at PlayStation and you got like 100 followers when you announced it. And those people are just like, when's the next thing? So those are different ways that could happen. There are also, when you start getting more into the industry people will start following you based on your body of work, based on different things. And there are many times you've never even met them. So those are different ways that those relationships can happen. Who do you want to connect with is what's really most important. And not just that, but like how you want to connect with people and how you will let those people influence how you see social media. I use the example of me eating food, but I'm going to use a pretty personal example here, and trigger warning, it is about the Me Too movement. When I posted about the Me Too movement, unfortunately, some people, to them, it gave themselves the right to have an opinion on what had happened to me. And that's lame, right? Because it was a really big emotional thing for me. And I I then had to also read through a lot of different people's opinions on that thing that happened to me, right? At the end of the day, I was luckily in a mental space where I could have posted something that was scary and hard, but I felt needed to be said for the audiences that I had, especially young women. But I also had to be aware and deal with the consequences. And there are ways to deal with parasocial relationships. You can have the Block Party app, which is an app that helps you. I'm using Twitter specifically here, but it helps mute accounts that you don't know and you don't follow. You can set up the parameters on there, and I use that regularly. You can also have a friend check on stuff for you if things are blowing up and you're going viral. There are very many different ways that you can interact with different pieces of social media and how you interact with people. Question from RM, is cross-posting good or highly frowned upon? I'm okay with cross-posting, but I think the way you have to do it is it has to feel like it organic to the platform, right? So if you just share your Twitch stream over and over again to your Facebook page, you don't add a description, you don't add anything else, there's no real reason to be on there. Like there's like, okay, like if I'm going to follow your Twitch page and your Facebook page, what am I seeing that's different? Or what am I seeing that really draws the eye in and brings me back and makes me want to investigate and be a part of what you're doing and really be there. Try to remember each platform's visibility and span, and try to think about the audiences you have on each platform. Especially if you're a content creator, you can actually see the analytics of the type of people that are watching you on one thing versus the other. And when you keep that in mind, like it help you grow to like know, okay, I am really followed by people who like my plant content on TikTok, so I'm going to really push that, and occasionally slip in like, I'm a game dev, remember me, so little things like that. Next. Okay, boundaries. So boundaries. It is important to have boundaries with social media. And I am saying this as somebody who did not have boundaries for myself at the very beginning. And I used to check Twitter like crazy. I used to be really involved in things, etc. So I'm going to explain a couple different boundaries that I think are really important to me. So first things first, make sure that you are setting boundaries, not just for yourself. You are really important. You are you. And that's at the end of the day, the most important thing, but also for the sake of your friends, partners, and children who might not use social media the same way you do, especially when it comes to kids, right? Like they are young. They don't have the perception of what social could do to them, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thinking of the Kardashians kids, right? Like those kids are being raised in the public eye, and have they voted in? And are they old enough and have the mental capacities to opt into these kind of things? So that brings me to the first boundary, which is permission. Make sure that not only you give, that you get permission enthusiastically from the people that you involve in pictures, posts, funny jokes, etc., but also that you are comfortable to give it. Sometimes people might post things that you're not really comfortable with, or a photo of you that is really ugly. So like make sure that like you're okay with what's being posted. And I will tell people my boundaries. I will be like, hey, I actually don't like that picture, or hey, I don't want people to know that I'm at this event. I'm actually just coming here as a consumer. That would be great. Let's see, what else do we have? I will answer your question after the thing. Privacy. Make sure you are protecting your address. I actually accidentally doxed myself when I first started working at Twitch, and it got pointed out to me, and that was my bad. that is really bad. You don't want people that you don't know personally to know your address, the city you live in, your routes. Something I've seen a lot on TikTok actually is girls will be like, get ready with me. And they're like walking out of their very visible apartment building to the coffee shop they always hang out in. And it's really easy to get stalked that way. And it's unfortunate that we have to think about those things. Like in general, that sucks. I just want you to be safe. So make sure that you don't dox yourself, your loved ones, and other people. And then when you're posting content of, like, for example, I'm going to use this as an example. I really want to post my neighbor every day. He walks his cats. I'm not even kidding. He has 2 little kitties and he walks outside with them and they're really cute. And he holds one in the arm and it's a whole cute thing. And I really want to post it, but I also know that he's a little bit of a private person. So if I ever decide to go through with it because it's the most adorable thing on the planet, I would ask his permission. If he said no, whatever. If he's like, yeah, but don't share my face, then I'll put a little smiley face over it. And I've seen other people do that on social media, and that's really helpful. Personal. Now, this one is really important to, I mean, they're all really important, but you do not owe the internet literally anything, actually. You don't owe them if you're sad, if you're tired, you don't owe them your relationship status, your political affiliations. You don't have to share things with people about your personal life that you're not comfortable with. You can stream with no webcam on, etc. Sure, it might not get you as much views, but if that's what makes you happy and you don't want to be perceived in a specific way, or you want to be a VTuber, etc., please use the internet in the way that makes you comfortable. Don't push yourself past your boundaries of what you feel you need to share. I'll go back to my Me Too example. I was comfortable sharing it in that moment because I felt it was important and it needed to be said. That said, I had waited 3.5 years to say that. And it took me a long time and a lot of therapy to get there. And I'm not saying that you should have to do that, but that is my boundary. And that was what I needed to have. Pauses. It is okay to take breaks from social media and step back to realign. So one of the ways I actually use Twitter now, especially that I'm a little bit more established in the industry, is I will open the app, type the stupid thing I need to say, check it for a scroll, and then leave. Because I used to get the biggest puppy FOMO of your life every time I saw people doing fun things and I wasn't involved. And it actually made me a little depressed. So I not only took a break, but then I recalibrated how I use Twitter for myself so that it was safer. I'll also mute accounts of people that, like, I have a lot of social anxiety, so like, let's get that out there right now. But I'll mute accounts, not because I don't like them or I think their content is lame, but for the sake of my mental health. They also don't get a notification. It doesn't ruin our friendship or whatever. And I feel a little bit better when all I get to look at is puppies. Let's see. Next up, sorry, dues. Okay, so these are my dues for how to use social, and I've definitely probably stated some of them. Enjoy my clap clap kitty. So first off, express yourself. Share your opinion. It's important to be open with some of the things that you want to share. Again, think about your boundaries here. You don't have to share everything. But always be mindful of how you sound, right? It's okay to share like that you don't like a certain sports team, et cetera, et cetera. It's okay to comment on big political issues, et cetera. Think of how you're saying it. Think of, an employer reading this down the road. Are they going to call you out? Now, I'm not going to name this person by name, but I have a friend on a very fast track to get to a VP level at a big company. And every time they tweet, and this is a little too Big Brother, so, this might not end up being you, and I hope not. But every time they tweet something that seems inoffensive, they get an email digging them and being like, hey, slow your roll, right? Because they are a reflection of the brand and of the company. And because of how senior they are, it is important to keep track of that. Now, you don't have to think of it that hard, but like, do keep in mind that like, I'll look through somebody's social when I'm hiring them. And if all your stuff is like really mean against Lindsay Lohan, I'm going to find that a little weird. So think of it that way. Show your expertise. Have an expertise you can bring to the table, and it will help you elevate your voice. Be an expert in something or be a fan of something. Show some sort of passion for something and really bring a subject matter knowledge. If it's about sports, you can show that off. There are a ton of people in gaming who love sports the same way you do. If it's about fishing, I had an old boss who takes videos of himself fishing and he shares them all over his Facebook. There are definitely different ways that you can have those nuanced conversations and have conversations. It's important to be interactive. I think, especially when you're starting out, like if you see somebody you admire or other people at your level, start making friends. My best friends that I have made in this industry, I've honestly made through Twitter. And I've been friends with them now for 7 or 8 years, and they're people that I trust with my life. And I got hotel rooms with them. I've been to one of their weddings. Like, it is all because I was active and made conversations a priority. And again, keep in mind, if you need a break, take a break. Nobody will blame you. The friends that you made will understand. They will have other ways of messaging you. It's totally okay. Whew. Next are our don'ts. So our don'ts are, for me, pretty important as well. Oversharing. Sometimes social media does not need to know all the details of your bowel movements. I don't know. I'm using that as an example, but there are some times where there is too much information is being given out there and you're really taking away from yourself and a piece of yourself, etc. And you're also not setting yourself up for privacy. Like if I've seen folks where their entire relationship is on social and then unfortunately they break up and then they release PR statements about their breakups. It's like, oh my gosh, one, you didn't owe anybody the PR statement, but two, like maybe some of those things are valuable for you. I also have a friend who doesn't share any pictures of their children to social media, and they feel it's an overshare for them. That not all of us have the same boundaries, but know yours, and also know what might seem a little too much or too inappropriate, or etc. I like to think of another overshare as fighting. If you are fighting with a friend, etc., sharing your feelings about that friend on social, for example, takes away their autonomy in the argument. And that's not really fair to them. So that's another example of oversharing. Trolling. It is okay to lightly make jokes at people, etc. But I'm going to use an example of recently. Somebody got introduced to me through Twitter and they called me an old fart. And I was like, I have just met you. And they followed me and I did not follow them back. And for me, it was like, man, I wish you had gotten to know me before you made some sort of jokes at me or you said some sort of trollish things. Profiles where you're antagonistic and attacking people, etc., to the extreme of trolling, those are also going to get overlooked. When I hire, I'm an event manager and I do use influencers for campaigns. When I hire folks for those campaigns, if I see that they are aggressively trolling or being really rude, etc., I don't want to work with them. I want to look at your social media and see that you're funny or you're cute as heck or you're whatever. And I really want to like bring you in and for that type of thing, the brand that you bring. But, and there are fun ways to troll and there are ways to have jokes with people that are comfortable, but make sure that you're also keeping to not just your boundaries, but respecting that they might have theirs. Obsessing. If something upsets you online, subtweeting other professionals, harassing people, angrily 18 thread about something can look really bad. It also makes you look like you did, and this might just be my opinion, so keep this with a grain of salt, but it could make it look like you depend on social media for validation. Be willing to instead, when you're angry about something, etc., and you've maybe tweeted about it once or twice, maybe have a discussion with friends, family members, etc., people who are available to hold space for you. For me, I have a really great network of friends in the gaming industry who work at the same level I do, understand where I'm going through, and are willing to help. And that is great. Let's see. I did not mean to call you out with that comment. Pause before posting. Pause before posting. Pause before posting. Do you think your post might be too spicy? Does it seem like it could upset people? Think about it first. Or just, you don't have to pause before every single tweet, but if you feel like you're really angry and you're about to tweet, heck the people who made this game, the game sucks, you suck, they're going to read it. I worked for Adecco, which was a company that worked for Google, and I worked for Google Stadia. It was a cloud gaming platform. A lot of people in the industry thought the platform was bad. We all have to comment about that, and it got to be a thing. But some people really thought it was bad and posted nonstop about it. And it made it uncomfortable because it was like, man, I would love to actually get to know your opinion and your dialogue. But the hatred they had towards the company, towards the people working on it, they called us all a bunch of idiots, etc. I was like, man, you'd one, you're in my network, so you know me, so you could probably just talk to me about this. And two, I feel like you're forgetting that people exist behind the products that you're complaining about and that they have feelings. It is okay to think a product is bad. Constructively so. Google Stadia might have had some issues, right? Constructively so, your favorite game might have some lags, some problems, etc. However, those are people that are making your product. So when you are hating on them, you are trolling them, you are threatening them, you are not giving them the ability to have an actual conversation with you, and you are dehumanizing them in a way. Next, let's see. Improving your brand. Again, you've seen Brie. I'm using her again here. She has consistent usernames across all platforms. That is really important. I have a friend who I cannot find for the life of me because he doesn't use the same username. And every single time I have to look him up on Twitter for something, I go, "Ugh," and I get so frustrated. But consistent usernames, that is a really good one. Headshots, or just adorable little drawings if you aren't uncomfortable with showing yourself on social. Totally understood. Use a cool headshot, use a cool picture. If you need somebody to do headshots, there's almost always somebody cool in your area that might be able to do it. Brand logo and images, having a certain color theme, etc. And again, this might not necessarily be for the game developer, but if you have the time and space, why not? And a contact email. Oh my God, please put your contact email on there. There are so many times I want to work with somebody and I DM them and they get back to me 3 months later. The project is already done. It sucks. I wish we could have had a conversation. It happens. Make sure you use all of these different pieces. I think it's honestly so important. And finally, who's doing it right? These are just 3 examples. There are so many people doing it right. But Victoria Tran is incredible. If she ever sees this, I'm sorry I'm gushing about you. But Victoria Tran does a great job, not just on her social media, but how she composes herself. She does a lot of recommendation threads. She tells you, what to do. Her TikTok is full of really funny content, but also content about how to improve as a marketer. If you are thinking about going to marketing, social media, or community management, you should definitely check her work out. She is great. And similarly, Leslie has some pretty awesome content as well, to the same vein as Victoria's. Osama Darius is one of the nicest people in the industry. They are so loving and kind, and they really care about people, but they also have a mission, right? They really care about making sure that Muslims are represented in gaming, that people of color are represented in gaming, and they work really hard to make sure that they are seen and that they have visibility. I think they're doing an excellent job of it with kindness, love, and compassion. They're great. Andy Lunique, who I mentioned earlier, and I pretty much got into this, is a chef, such a great chef, but also such a great marketer, such a great influencer marketer, works at Epic Games. Check out his content for some really good food content. He really likes to marry his love of food and gaming, and he makes really great recipes that way. So yeah, follow these folks, follow a ton more. There's a lot of great people out there that really are helping kind of change the industry, and I really think are great examples of how the industry works. So now that I have time, there are Leslie's TikTok. Oh, man, I didn't get her permission in time, so I didn't share it on here. But if you look up at Leslie S at Riot Games, you could probably slowly find her socials. I know I had a question that I missed that somebody asked, so I'm going to try to scroll down and see it. But if anybody else has questions, I'm so happy to answer. Let's see. Talking to myself. Okay, what's your take on Discord and how that works with your personal brand? So it depends, right? So Discord, I'm part of a couple of professional Discords. I run the Latinx and Gaming Discord, which you are welcome to join. There's also Techeria, which is a Latinx-focused Discord. But yeah, there's a ton of different Discords out there for the type of interest that you have. So I would think of it almost as like your happy hour, right? And I probably should have made a slide about it, so thank you. You're coming in, there's like a bunch of different parties you could join, etc. So join this party and join that party. I also think that for Discord, if you are an influencer, having your own Discord for a content creator, where you have a circle of your fans, etc., moderators you trust, etc., that's a really great way to grow your community, because as a streamer, influencer, content creator, having a community to back you will really take you a long way. And if there's any other questions, please feel free to ask. Is cross-posting good or highly frowned upon? Just to go back to that, yeah, you should cross-post, but make sure your posts don't feel like a spam because you managed to have a bot install it into the thing. And I'm going to use Discord actually as an example. We have a stream is live channel in the Latinx Discord. Some people share a cute little thing. Other people just link their stream. Guess which one I'm going to watch, right? I want to watch the person that I feel interactive with. The whole point of watching a streamer is there's this sort of fun, bubbly personality and some interactivity. That doesn't mean they're beholden to you, etc., but that does mean that there is some certain types of interactivity there. How do you go about keeping up with the logarithms changes on various platforms? That is a hard one. So for example, if you are an Instagram user, you are probably pretty well aware that your content, it is really difficult to grow, and discoverability is really difficult. That is across the board. It's difficult if you are on Twitch. It's difficult if you're on Instagram. The best thing to do in my personal opinion, is to try to find like one of the subscriptions you can keep up with, some sort of social media now type of thing where you can see how those algorithms change. There's also, your TikTok logarithm works as such as if you like content, you can follow content, etc. So if you see people giving social media advice, and this is really mostly towards content creators, but also it might be good for people, getting into gaming or wanting to develop their careers. You might want to follow that advice, listen to it, etc. I'm lucky that, I work in marketing, so my career really is marketing focused. But I also think that like when those algorithms change, when things happen like that, I need to be on the pulse of it or I no longer stay relevant. If I only have time to dedicate to one or two platforms, which do you recommend? Well, it all depends on like what your brand is. If you are, let's say, an influencer, content creator, streamer, I can't keep using all three. I'm just gonna say influencer. If you're an influencer, I would focus on TikTok, your Twitch channel, obviously, if you're already working on that, cutting your clips to YouTube, and then I would have a Twitter. Right now, Twitter is still one of the most relevant platforms for the game industry. That might change in a few years' time, but like for now, Twitter, TikTok if you're creating content. The rest, can come and go as is. Instagram is a really nice way to connect with people too, but not required. Cool. And I have time for, I think, one or two more questions. And if not, happy to kind of like end it here a little bit early. I kind of rushed through presentations. It's not on purpose. It's a feature. But yeah, please let me know if you have anything else. Otherwise, thank you for your time.